We have breaking news. Hamas has responded to President Trump's peace plan for Gaza. That agreement includes releasing all the living and dead hostages. Middle East correspondent Zach Anders has the details of that proposal and where things stand right now. He is live in Tel Aviv, where it's very late in the evening. Zach?
Yeah, Greta, I'll temper all of this with some of the earlier coverage, what we were talking about throughout the week, right? And I'll say that the very first thing that we know about what has happened here, this was a response that they say was sent to the mediators, but now they've released a statement on their Telegram channel in Arabic to the public, okay? So this is a response where they're negotiating out in front of the entire world here, and they say that they're prepared to provide all of the living and dead hostages according to the exchange plan outlined by the president's proposal. Quote, in this context, the movement affirms its readiness to immediately enter into negotiations through the mediators to discuss the details of this agreement. This is a public statement. And Greta, I'll tell you that this is breaking within just the last 30 minutes. It's very clear that we are still quite a ways away. Now, it is Shabbat here in Israel. My Israeli sources, my Jerusalem sources around the prime minister have not responded to me just yet. But I am really having a flashback to where we were about 2 months ago when Steve Witkoff was still heavily involved in this process, trying to get a peace deal done. Hamas came out and said, we accept this deal. But, and there were still very massive issues here that they said they needed to work through before they would be willing to make this agreement work. One of these other issues that they've outlined in their statement here is a consensus on a full Israeli withdrawal. Well, we watched that White House press conference with Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump. We've heard Prime Minister Netanyahu's words, not just recently, but all throughout this war, that there will not be a full withdrawal from the Gaza Strip of Israeli forces. This is negotiating out in the open with this statement, certainly. And what we can say at this point is essentially what Al Jazeera is reporting, is that the Hamas terror group has sent its response to the mediators in Qatar and Egypt, and that is going to then be conveyed to the White House. So they've released this statement. They're negotiating out in public. The White House has not responded yet. Jerusalem has not responded yet. And that is really all we are at, all we are at this stage. Is just a Hamas public statement, which we warned earlier in our coverage throughout the week, was a Hamas coming saying, we are ready to continue negotiations. The president earlier today giving that deadline of Sunday night to accept the deal on the table. It's not very clear how much flexibility there's going to be from the White House or for Jerusalem for any of these last minute changes. The entire Arab world, all of these Arab states, Turkey, Egypt, Qatar, have called on Hamas to accept this deal in its present form. And we really don't know how much room there's left to negotiate this, Greta.
Zach, I don't, and maybe, I hope I'm wrong, but I mean, if Hamas is willing to, if the first step is they're going to release the hostages, dead and alive, and then they want to negotiate, that puts Israel really in the catbird seat at that point, because Israel just wants those hostages back, and Israel was prepared to go in and roll all over Hamas. They don't care at that point, except perhaps for some international pressure for the other. But it doesn't, I mean, I can't imagine Hamas, before they get an agreement on the negotiations, that they're going to release those hostages. I mean, how do you read this?
I'm struggling with this too, Greta, because this line here, according to the exchange plan outlined in President Trump's proposal, they'll release both those who are living and dead. The 20-point peace plan it's bound together. This is not, you can't just pick and choose which clauses of, or just, we'll implement Section A and Section B. It's a totality here for this trying to create a lasting peace. The release of the hostages is contingent on Israel releasing about 1,700 Palestinian prisoners. About 250, I believe, are serving life sentences in Israeli prisons. If the Israelis feel that they don't have a comprehensive agreement on the totality of the peace agreement, then they're not going to release the Palestinian prisoners for a deal, potentially. I shouldn't speak out of turn here, but this is all predicated on accepting the totality of the agreement. This was not a one-for-one about getting the hostages out only. This was about ending the war and expelling Hamas from the Gaza Strip. That was a big ask to begin with. So I'll just go back to originally here. They're negotiating out in the open. They're putting out these public statements. They're trying to make it appear as though they've accepted something and get the international media to start printing headlines that Hamas accepts the deal. But they're saying, and the only way I have to read this is that they're willing to negotiate further, which is where we were 2 months ago, 2 months before that, throughout the entire war.
Well, as I understand it, listening to the president and Prime Minister Netanyahu the other day at the White House, this was the deal. It wasn't like we're going to do stuff and then we're going to negotiate.
Right.
There was no room, at least as I understand it, for negotiation. So I don't understand that. Secondly, I don't know who the Hamas leaders are. With Hania dead, Yahya Sinwar dead, his brother dead. I don't know who these people are that are negotiating with the mediators. I mean, it's a lot squishier than than I think the Telegram report is.
Yeah, well, it's a cohort of about 4 men that seniors that were in Qatar from before the war. Those are the survivors. They almost died back on September 9th by that Israeli strike. I'm shocked, and a lot of the people that you speak to in this part of the world are still shocked that Qatar and Egypt and Hamas were still even willing to negotiate after that. It does speak to perhaps their weakness in these negotiations, that they're still willing to negotiate after these Israeli strikes, these unsuccessful Israeli strikes. I'll harken back to what we reported on earlier in the week. I think it was on Tuesday, about the Gazan voices of their response to what the president said, what Prime Minister Netanyahu said. They've been praying throughout the week that Hamas would accept this deal. Gazans are praying that Hamas would accept this deal. And it's really difficult in moments like these to know that these 2 million people are being played with by Hamas officials that are not inside the Gaza Strip. The negotiating team for Hamas has been cozy in Doha since before the war started, and they are not living the reality on the ground in Gaza. The Gazan leadership, there's some reporting within the last 24 hours that the military commanders of Hamas that are still alive inside the Gaza Strip have been wiring to the Hamas leaders, the political leaders that are in Doha, and saying, accept this deal because militarily we're finished. We can't keep going. We need a break. We need to try and rebuild our forces. We can't keep fighting.
Well, I'm going to take the last word on this, but I wouldn't hold my breath on this one. I don't see this as an acceptance. I feel this is sort of dangling some bait out there to get past President Trump and deadline of Sunday. Zach Anders in Tel Aviv, thank you. South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds joins me. Sir, you've been listening to this. Your thoughts on what we've just heard, the report from Zach?
Cautiously optimistic that we might be making some progress. Congratulations to the president and his team. I think President Trump's direct involvement and the fact that he once again believes in peace through strength is coming through. The fact that he has been directly involved and he is bringing the team with him, other members of the community in that area, all together demanding that Hamas accept the peace agreement. That's pretty powerful. I don't know if there's another president that's been able to do that in the past.
But they didn't accept it. As best I can figure out, they say that they're going to release the hostages, which I don't believe, because they're not just going to release the hostages unless everything else is in line. I mean, I can't imagine that, because if they release the hostages, I would assume that Netanyahu would just go in and roll over them at that point.
Look, I totally agree, but let's start with this way. Let's verify, let's not trust. We're dealing with a terrorist organization. But the fact that they're responding right now, and we put the pressure on them with our allies in the Middle East, that's a step in the right direction. We're moving in the right direction. Let's allow the president to continue this operation.
What would you expect if they have not agreed to everything? They just say that they're going to release the hostages, and President Trump had put on the table, and Netanyahu, this is the deal, accept it or don't. But they want to now negotiate it, and now we've gone to 6 o'clock on Sunday. Then what?
At that stage of the game, based upon the president's own judgment, he may very well say, time's up. But at the same time, look, he wants to get peace. I truly believe this president is looking for peace. If he sees an opportunity to have peace in that part of the world, that is a major stride forward. But let's allow the president the opportunity to work his magic.
And if Hamas would, by any token, if they were to release the 50, so that would be a huge step forward.
We've made progress then.
Huge progress. All right, now turning to what we thought we'd be talking about. What's going on in your neck of the woods up in the Senate? Seems like we don't have a funded government.
We don't. Look, we're still in a Schumer shutdown. And I know that's cliche, but it is. It is a Schumer shutdown is what we're dealing with right now. Members of his own team over there are saying, we're not exactly sure why we're doing this. I know we've got to be in a shirts and skins game for a while, but they're getting tired of it. And what we're doing is trying to provide them with ample opportunities to see a path forward. And that means taking care of a lot of the things that they cared about. John Thune has done a marvelous job of saying, we're going to get back to regular order. We're going to do appropriations bills where everybody has a say in them. We're going to do the National Defense Authorization Act where everybody has a say in it. We're making progress.
If they vote on the clean resolution, but much like this deal that President Trump put on the table for Hamas, accept it or not, it seems like this continuing resolution, it came over from the House, and now the Senate has basically voted down, is that it's accepted or not. If you accept it, we'll have more negotiation.
No, what we're saying is stop the Schumer shutdown.
And then what happens?
At that point, then we go back to regular order. Some people will say, well, can they trust you? And the evidence is take a look at our track record. We've already passed 3 appropriation bills out of the Senate. We've got 3 more ready to come to the House. Today, the leaders said very clearly, we're going to get those back in. We're going to do the conference committee reports. We're going to bring the other 3 to the floor. We're going to do the National Defense Authorization Act. That's what our Democrat colleagues wanted in the first place. And so our message is this is where you put amendments on the floor. This is where you have an opportunity to bring up those items that you feel strongly about. And as you know, there are certain areas that they feel very strongly about, and they want an opportunity to vote on issues.
2 things. One is that Schumer needs to save face if it comes right down. So you got to give him something. So I don't know what you're going to give him. Secondly, is that what the House asked for in the continuing resolution is basically, as I say in court, a continuance until November 21st. Everything was supposed to be done on September 30th. We know every single year is supposed to be done on November 30th. It never does get done on November 30th. And we have these huge dramas in the RISA shutdown we just got. Why can't this be done before September 30 every year, since we know that day is going to come around?
That was our goal this year. And once again, we did get 3 of them completed and out and over. They've been conferenced. We're back in ready to vote. We've also got the next 3 coming out of the appropriations.
All of them? I don't understand. I have to be here every night for an hour. I can't just say, I'll show up for 45 minutes and maybe I'll do another 15 later.
Look, we're trying not to place blame any place, but you've still got to get a budget from the president, and if it's 45 days late getting into the Senate to begin with, that's a month and a half before you can do it.
Do you need a budget from the president?
Well,
because it's non-binding.
That's what we're supposed to work on. But we started early anyway. And so are we doing our best to get them out and to get them across the floor? Yes. But one member of the Senate can hold up action based upon, you have to have a cloture vote on each one, which means you have to have basically the thing saying we're going to stop and we're going to actually vote at a particular time on a particular issue. But are we going to get closer? Yes. Many of us have suggested that maybe the best thing to do this is to actually do a 2-year budget where you do it once every 2 years and you use the other year to do oversight, to go back through everything. Another alternative is to do a 2-year budget with doing half of the appropriations each year for each of the 2 years, and then once again go back in and do oversight to see whether or not it's working.
Well, when you have a shutdown and somebody's back on his heels, and I think Senator Schumer is back on his heels, and he's got political considerations besides his consideration to be the leader of the Democratic Party in the Senate, is he's got to be able to save face so that it's like 2 lawyers coming out of the courthouse. They both want to say they won. And so you've got to give Schumer, in order for Schumer to tell his cats, to do something, he's got to be able to say, I got something for you. What is it you can give him that the Republicans can live with that he can then say that he won?
2 parts. First of all, we're not sure that Senator Schumer can give in at all. It may be some of the other more reasonable members of the Senate that will simply say, look, we understand that Senator Schumer can't do that because of the position that he's in, but there's a group of us that are going to step forward and do it anyway.
And you need, what, 10?
We'll take 10, okay. Right? That way nobody gets blamed for being the last one up. Okay, the other piece on it might very well be if there are negotiations, then it's a responsibility that Senator Schumer has to come to the majority leader, Senator Thune, and say, these are the things that I want to get done, and to have an in-person discussion. Senator Thune is the only member of the Senate who has the authority to make those deals.
And he seems a pretty reasonable guy.
He's a very reasonable guy, and his goal is to get us back to what we call regular order, which is out in front of everybody where they can see every single appropriation bill. People can see what we're voting on, what's in the bills, instead of what Senator Schumer wanted to do all the time, which was an omnibus bill, which is somewhere between 2,500 and 5,000 pages with lots of stuff written in it that nobody sees.
And not only that, when you try to read the pages, they don't even seem to follow from one
That's
page
right.
to the next. It's pretty crazy sometimes. Senator Mike Brown from the great state of South Dakota. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Former White House Chief of Staff in the first Trump administration, former Republican Congressman from North Carolina, Mark Meadows, joins me. Sir, before we get to the whole thing about the shutdown, your thoughts on Hamas saying, at least on Telegram, their social media, the platform they use, that they seem to be interested in something. I can't really figure out exactly what it is, but your thoughts.
Well, obviously, for your viewers that are tuned in right now, this is breaking news, and so a lot has to be unpacked. But here's my take. Color me skeptical. They've been dealing for 35 years or plus on peace in Gaza and the Middle East, and only to be Lucy in the football to basically say, well, you've got a deal, you don't have a deal. I will say this, that if they go ahead and release the hostages, both dead and alive, that would be a tremendous victory for the president. But I can also say this, if they believe that this quote, goodwill gesture is just going to buy them more time, they've misjudged the president. Having been in the room with him a number of times, having him see him make reasonable demands on others, seeing him so committed to getting hostages back that he would cancel campaign events and the like, the president is very serious about this 6 p.m. Sunday deadline. And so what's happening right now behind the scenes for your viewers is, Secretary Rubio, the president, his entire national security team are getting together to see exactly what the components of this are. But if they think they're going to negotiate it via telegram in public, they're negotiating with the wrong president. This president, unlike previous administrations, is very serious about that deadline. I'm not very optimistic that it's going to result in anything anytime soon.
I don't think they've sort of thought it through. If it's as we think it is, that they say they're going to release the hostages, if they release the hostages and they don't do the other 19 points because they want to, quote, negotiate, once the hostages are in Israel's, once Israel gets those hostages back, if they don't accept the other 19, Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to finish the job that he's wanted to do for an awful long time. And the only thing that's held him back was because of these hostages. So they'd be a fool not to accept the whole deal. They'd be boxed in. They'd be finished.
Well, you're 100% right, Greta. And in doing that, they can't take 1 or 2 or 5 of the 20 points that President Trump outlined. That being said, perhaps this is great news. I can tell you, the Hamas leaders, if they're indeed accepting his deal, they're making the right call, because this president is very serious. You can look no further than the strikes on Iran and others in the region. This president has made a very good offer, one that is reasonable, and certainly one that actually balances the priorities of both those in the region and the Israeli government. And yet, we'll see what happens here. I'm like you. I don't expect them to release these hostages and then negotiate further.
All right, and I actually, like the Senate, going to talk about the shutdown. Any quick thought how this ends? I think that as much as the Republicans don't want to give Schumer anything, the blood is so bad here, is they've got to do something so he can say that he won something and end the shutdown for the American people.
Well, there's 2 things that have happened. One, the president already negotiated to get a clean CR. So that was a win for Schumer and actually a win for the president of the United States. But the second thing that I think that you'll see is there will be terminations that start in earnest within the next day or so, I believe. there will be probably notices that go out for further terminations. And so the win that Schumer can get are those tens of thousands of federal employees that he is supposedly trying to protect. He can keep them from getting fired. That's going to be the win. If not, this will drag on for many, many days, perhaps weeks.
I don't, things I read about, I mean, the safety things, and when I look at air traffic controllers and that they're now working without pay, I think to myself, if anything happens in those skies, there's going to be a lot of blood on a lot of people's hands here in this city, because that we've already have our infrastructure in the air already is so fragile, but now we put that added pressure on them. There's I hope I just hope that they realize that there are a lot of people at risk. It's not just putting food on the table.
Well, 10 Democrat senators can change that today. They did not. Obviously, they'll have more opportunities in the days to come, but it is time to go ahead and get this clean continuing resolution passed and get the government back open.
Former White House Chief of Staff and Congressman Mark Meadows, thank you, sir.
Great to be with you, Greta. Take care.
Thank you. Coming up, reaction from the White House after Hamas agrees to, at least seemingly agrees to, parts of Trump's peace deal. It's still pretty murky what they agreed to, but we're going to get more information. That when the record continues.
Just before Charlie Kirk died, he issued a stark warning of terrifying dangers ahead. Charlie wrote this in the foreword for the new book, Pagan Threat, by Pastor Lucas Miles. Charlie said that Pagan Threat could save America and that you must read and share this book. A #1 Amazon bestseller, Pagan Threat is available everywhere. Get Pagan Threat free with Newsmax's special offer and save $30. Go online today and read Charlie's final words.
Last year, America's leading wireless provider spent $12 billion on advertising and promotions. That's billion with a B. Pure Talk? They hired me to make their commercials on my iPhone. Consequently, they can offer you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Yeah, you can keep paying for those billion-dollar ad campaigns if you want, or you can start saving some real money when you switch to Pure Talk. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
My allergic itch was a growing problem for me and my human. Then the vet gave me Apoquel. It works at the source and starts relieving itch in as fast as 4 hours.
May cause worsening of existing parasitic skin infestations, serious infections, or pre-existing cancers. New neoplasias have been observed. Do not use in dogs under 12 months of age with serious infections or in breeding, pregnant, or lactating dogs.
Big or little itch, ask for Apoquel. Apoquel.
WeatherTech products are designed and manufactured in America using only American raw materials. Most competitors make things 7,000 miles away and then wonder why they don't fit. With WeatherTech in your vehicle, you may hear angels singing as you marvel. How do they do it? Simple. American technology and American workers deliver quality, not imported junk for a few bucks less. Get the world's best floor liners and support America. Find your fit at WT.com.
Now to the White House, where we are getting some reaction as Hamas responds to Trump's peace plan and as the government here in the United States remains shut down. White House correspondent Mike Carter is at the White House with the very latest. Mike?
Yeah, Greta, we're following this very closely right now. President Trump, of course, laying down that ultimatum this morning to Hamas, release all Israeli hostages, both living and dead, by 6 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday for this, and also agreeing, of course, to have this war come to an end, or else dire consequences would occur. Right now, it does appear that Hamas has accepted some of those bullet points the Trump administration has offered. Again, that 20-point plan laid out by the president in that meeting with Netanyahu earlier this week. Hamas, however, has not agreed to others. The future of the Gaza Strip, still a big question mark, and the future of the Palestinian people reportedly still being discussed with mediators right now. This was a topic that did, of course, come up in today's White House press briefing with Caroline Levitt, who spoke about the president's urgency in laying down this ultimatum today. Take a listen.
The president has made it very clear to Hamas that this is an acceptable and detailed proposal that they must accept, or the consequences are going to be very grave for them. And he has given them a deadline of Sunday evening at 6 p.m. When I was out here on Wednesday, I told all of you I'll leave it to the president to make that red line, and he now has. I think the entire world should hear the president of the United States loud and clear. And Hamas has an opportunity to accept this plan and to move forward in a peaceful and prosperous manner in the region. And if they don't, the consequences, unfortunately, are going to be very tragic.
Well, with both parties remaining at an impasse today, the back and forth blame game continues on which side is responsible for this government shutdown. Today, Hakeem Jeffries twice accusing President Trump of not addressing the shutdown head on. First this morning on MSNBC, and then just this afternoon, about an hour ago in a press conference. This afternoon, I asked White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to respond to Jeffries' accusation that it is President Trump who is dodging questions about this shutdown. Hakeem Jeffries has said that President Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program since the shutdown has begun. What's the White House's reaction to that?
That's just more ridiculous fodder from Hakeem Jeffries. As you all know, because you're here every day, the president is literally working around the clock right now. I think he has a swearing-in ceremony, or he already did. He has several meetings on the books today. He literally works 24/7. Anyone who works in this place or covers this place, as you all do, knows that to be true. And Hakeem Jeffries and the Senate Democrats should get back to work in a few minutes and vote to reopen the government.
Well, despite the government shutdown, the U.S. Treasury Department says it is considering a plan to mint a new $1 coin bearing President Trump's image on both of them. The coin under consideration as part of the 250th anniversary of the country next year. Treasury Department, Greta, says it's considering it.
Mike Carter at the White House, thank you. Coming up, is the U.S. at war, and with whom? That when the record continues.
Every day across the globe, big business agendas go unseen by investors. Things that go against your core values and beliefs. It's time to know your investments. Abortion, alternative lifestyles, gender and identity confusion. If you believe in protecting marriage and life, children, innocence, guarding masculinity, restoring families, defending religious liberty, invest with your values. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. Please make a great gift. It's Trump time.
Dad is a legend. Who can we thank for that? There were generations of dads who passed down their legacies. Discover who they were and how they led to you with an Ancestry Family History membership. See your roots and where those stories came from with an Ancestry DNA kit. Put them together, and there you are. Get started today at Ancestry.
Are you or a loved one a military veteran that has been diagnosed with mesothelioma? Do you have questions about getting the best treatment or paying medical bills? Have you received the proper care and compensation you deserve? Let our firm serve you with the same dedication you served your country. We are exclusively devoted to helping those with mesothelioma. Call now to get this free book, and we'll answer any question you have. We'll even visit you.
Call 800-555-8958 or go to mesobook.com.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age with my wife Shirley, who is 82. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, neither of us have any kind of sickness, and we're as flexible as we were 30 years ago, and we still do the physical things we did 30 years ago. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you. You won't believe it. Immuno 150 is an awesome nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it.
Yes, it really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order online or call the number listed on the screen, but don't place your order until after you've watched the videos on our website. Thank you from both of us, and God bless.
Do not mess with ice. That seems to be the message from Apple. Apple has pulled off their shelf at their App Store a smartphone app used by people to anonymously report the location of ICE agents. The now removed app is called Ice Block. Attorney General Pam Bondi asked Apple to take down that app. The Trump administration says the app puts agents in danger and shielded illegal immigrants. You will remember last week a gunman targeted an ICE facility in Dallas. 2 detainees were killed. Authorities believe the shooter used tracking apps, including Ice Block, to locate the agents and carry out his attack. The threat of these digital apps to ICE operations came up a few months ago when I spoke with border czar Tom Homan.
There's been apps created not only to dox ICE agents, but to announce when ICE agents are in the neighborhood and taking pictures and asking people to show up. There's other apps where people are being paid to show up. So we're doing a deep dive investigation with the Department of Justice to find out, number one, who's funding this, because we'll seek prosecution on them too.
Well, you know the phrase, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery? And California Governor Gavin Newsom sure is imitating his political foe, President Trump. First, some background. This week, President Trump posted meme videos targeting House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. The video showed Jeffries with a sombrero and a mustache. Next, it apparently became Governor Newsom's turn. He started posting videos of House Speaker Mike Johnson. But Newsom made Johnson look like a minion, a small gibberish-speaking creature from the Despicable Me franchise. Newsom didn't stop there. He gave Vice President J.D. Vance the same treatment. Here's what Speaker Johnson says about these meme wars.
Many of you asked me this morning about sombreros and memes and why Hakeem Jeffries is all alarmed by that. But look, these are games. These are sideshows. People are getting caught up in battles over social media memes. To my friend Hakeem, who I was asked about, man, just ignore it. I mean, Gavin Newsom was trolling me last night. He painted me like a minion. He painted me yellow with big glasses and overalls. And I thought it was hilarious. You don't respond to it.
Coming up, do you know what was 30 years ago today? Wait until you see who my next guest is. That when the record continues.
You know, folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.
At Humana, we believe your health care should evolve with you. And part of that evolution means choosing the right Medicare plan for you. Humana can help. Hi, my name is Sam Davis, and I'm going to tell you about Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans that can provide more coverage than original Medicare, including prescription drug coverage, all wrapped up into one convenient plan. With original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits, but you have to meet a deductible for each, and then you're still responsible for 20% of the cost. Next, let's look at Medicare supplement plans. If a service is covered under original Medicare, then a Medicare supplement plan pays for some or all of your Medicare deductibles and the 20% co-insurance. But they may have higher monthly premiums and no prescription drug coverage. Humana Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans include medical coverage, plus prescription drug coverage, with $0 copays on hundreds of prescriptions. All plans include $0 copays for covered preventive dental services, vision coverage that includes vision exams and a yearly allowance toward eyewear, and hearing benefits that include routine hearing exams and coverage toward hearing aids. You could get $0 copays for in-network preventive services like primary care visits, mammograms, and prostate exams. And there's worldwide coverage for emergency and urgent care when you travel. Plus, Humana also offers Medicare Advantage plans. Plans have $0 or low monthly plan premiums, and there's a cap on your out-of-pocket costs. To see if Humana plans are available in your area, simply call the number on your screen or visit our website. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends on December 7th, so call now. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
Buy one, get one free now at Cabinets to Go. Save big on a huge selection of popular color and style combinations. Plus, get a free 3D design and watch your dream kitchen come to life. Don't miss this buy one, get one free sale. Visit Cabinets to Go today.
My employees and I want to thank all of you at Newsmax for your continued support of MyPillow. It's because of you and the grace of God that we're making it through. And to thank you, we're bringing you the best offers ever. Get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regularly $119.98, now only $29.88. Our My Towels are finally back in stock. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. Towels that actually work. What a concept. And for the first time and the only time ever, you're going to get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code when you order today. Inventory for these offers are extremely limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Do you remember that? Can you believe it? It was 30 years ago today that O.J. Simpson was found not guilty for the double murder of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. Those 30 years have so whizzed past, so fast. O.J.'s criminal trial was dubbed the trial of the century, and of course I had a virtual front row seat for it all. For more than 8 months, the country was captivated. On October 3rd, 1995, when the not guilty verdict came down, 150 million people were glued to their TV sets watching the verdict live. The verdict shocked many. It also ignited controversies surrounding race, policing, trials, judges, cameras in the courtroom, celebrities, and the media. Decades later, even after his death in April of 2024, people still debate O.J. Simpson's guilt or innocence. And in between the 1995 verdict of not guilty for the two murders and O.J.'s death in 2024, in 2008 in Las Vegas, Simpson was convicted of armed robbery of his friends and 11 other charges. He was sentenced to 33 years in prison, but was paroled and released in 2017. In the end, Simpson died a disgraced man, but a free one. Friend of Nicole Brown Simpson, house guest of O.J. Simpson, and my friend, Kato Kaelin joins me. Nice to see you, Kato.
Greta, so nice to see you. You know, it's weird because you kind of 30 years goes by, like you said, in a blink of an eye. You keep counting the days, and now that I'm older, I just have all the days really count, and that's kind of my motto now, just to live the life. Because my parents said, listen, growing up, they always said, from Wisconsin, like yourself, son, enjoy life. It's like a semester in college. It goes by really fast. So I'm still here.
And I'm still here. You and I may be one of the few. I mean, we've lost a lot of people along the way. Johnny Cochran, F. Lee Bailey, Linda Deutsch. I might go through the whole long list. A lot of people who were so involved in it. But it was, you know, Kato, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was. It's hard to put in perspective. I tell people, you have no idea what kind of a media circuit it really was. You couldn't imagine after the Bronco chase coming to Rockingham, the helicopters that were over Rockingham's address, the reporters, the streets were closed. There's nothing ever like it. It really is, Greta, the template of all trials, because I know that because I get phone calls anytime there's a major trial going on of my opinion. So it is the template. You mentioned TVs in the courtroom, which they're not doing for P. Diddy, but it is just like I said, the trial of the century. It'll never be forgotten. And I got to tell you, I embraced it. I didn't want to embrace it, but it's part of my life. And so much so, Greta, that I do a true crime podcast. It was at 1 Degree of Scandalous. It's on YouTube on Tom Zenner, who's my co-host, also a news reporter, anchor, and it's on Tom Zenner Scandal. I embraced it, and because of that, I got just a pretty big following, and got invited to speak now. Get this, to detectives and police law enforcement, and I just did my first public speaking with Nick Borges of the chief of police in Seaside, California, part of Carmel and Monterey. And I did it with Detective Tom Lang, who was the lead detective in the OJ trial. If that's not full circle, I really don't know what is.
Well, I was listening to your podcast. It's a really good one. I was listening to it recently, and you talked about, a couple of the guests that weren't on there. One of the guests that wasn't put on the witness stand was the guy at the airport, and who saw O.J. Simpson put something back. Tell me about that, because I thought that, that would have been a really significant witness to call.
His name is Skip Junius. So credible. He worked in PR and sold ads like to People Magazine and a few different companies. Very credible. He's parked behind, his Miata is parked behind the limo. He's picking up his wife, who handles a celebrity at American Airlines. So she worked there, and she knew, OJ flew American to Chicago that night. He's picking up his wife. He sees OJ grab the little duffel bag that I described in the trial, like a knapsack that college kids wear, putting his hand in it, halfway down it, and then putting it in the garbage can halfway down to throw it away. I don't know who throws something away not like this, but taking it and put it in there. And it's corroborated with Alan Park, the limo driver. It's never was brought into the trial.
And of course, the other interesting thing is that I remember Mark Furman wrote a book shortly after, and he wrote in the book that his former partner Brad Roberts, is a police officer who went through to do the initial search at Rockingham, lifted up the washing machine cover and saw wet dark clothes in there. And of course, wet dark clothes was also a piece of never brought into evidence, never.
No,
he wasn't even put on the witness stand. He wasn't even called to the witness stand.
Yeah, and also I could bring up Jill Shively. She makes the 911 call of a Bronco at the exact same timeline, coming through a red light, almost hitting her, and she wrote the license plate and called it up, and it was OJ, and she recognized OJ because, believe it or not, the night before she watched Naked Gun. You can't make this stuff up. It's you bring up the whole thing with celebrity. It's a trial that had so many viewers because of celebrity and because it was race orientated.
My heart bleeds for the Goldman family. That was not Nicole Brown Simpson's boyfriend or anything else. That was just a waiter who knew her, who brought the glasses home that belonged to Nicole Brown Simpson's mother. He's a complete innocent bystander. He wasn't involved in a relationship or wasn't involved in anything. And I remember watching his father in the courtroom when the verdict came down. On TV, I watched it. And, the heartbreak for Fred Goldman and Ron Goldman's sister, Kim, it's just like, there's nothing you can say to them. Nothing.
No, and I believe it or not, I did Kim's podcast, and I knew Fred. We had gotten together quite a few times from doing different shows. I didn't know Ron, but because of how much love they had for him, Ron was an incredible person. And no matter what, there'll never really be closure for them. They lost Ron. He's not going to have a chance to raise a family. They're never going to see the growth, their grandkids or aunt and uncles sort of things. And the same for Nicole, is that she never will see her kids get married and have kids and being a grandma. And it's heartbreaking that they were so young. And there is no answers, no real closure, I think, for them. It's just that they have to continue to live their life.
And interesting names that sort of resurfaced over 30 years. One of O.J. Simpson's lawyer was Robert Kardashian. And of course, Robert Kardashian is the father to the Kardashians.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one of our shows talks about that. We take a tour of where their house was in the valley, and that AC Cowling and OJ started the Bronco chase there. I don't think people know that. It started at the Kardashians. OJ was supposed to turn himself in that day, but they took that tour of OJ saying he's going to see the gravesite. And it's incredible. You know what? In 30 years,
Explain this to me. Explain this to me, because I never could figure this out. Because I always thought somebody got into that house and put the clothes in the washer, cleaned up any blood that may have been, because it was a bloodbath at the scene of the murder. So there had to have been blood, on OJ, because it had to have been blood. But OJ called back and had you set the alarm after he left because he had forgotten to set the alarm. You set the alarm. Then several hours later, Van Adder and Furman show up. They stop and talk to you. Then they go to the back and talk to OJ's daughter. They then enter the house through the back, and there was never any testimony that they disarmed the alarm, which made me think somebody else got in there between the time you set the alarm and the time that they went in there.
That is so possible, because that kind of always thinks, sort of those things go in my mind 30 years later. I think about all the other things that could have happened, and that's a possibility. And yeah, I just think, there's another theory that OJ was wearing a suit, that the blood wouldn't get on him, and that was discarded, and that may have been in that bag that I was supposed to pick up with the murder weapon. I don't know. I just remember that I was going to put it in the limo in his drive, and I was closest to it. He says, no, don't touch that. And today, still to this day, I'm going, why would he not want me to touch that?
Did you talk to him after he got out from his armed robbery in 2017? Did you ever have a conversation with him, talk to him?
Never. Greta, the only time I saw him was in the deposition for the civil trial. And that was after I've done at least 6 hours of the deposition and not talking very kindly about him, and then ending up in the bathroom together. And that was the only time. And I was trying to go to the bathroom, and I froze up, and he just said, "Hey, what's up?" And this is after I said all these true things that were not complimentary, and I just walked out of the bathroom. So that's the only time I had had any conversation since then. Another interesting thing is, yesterday I did a show, and this is one of those facts that you never. It's just how the blueprint of life of people. I'm on a radio show with Frank Motek of KABC. Nicole, they were supposed to eat at Toscana, but they couldn't accommodate all those people. So they ended up at Mezzaluna. And it's just these things you find out later, 30 years later, and you go, my God, it's just incredible I guess sort of from above, the blueprint of what's supposed to happen in life. But it's really, really upsetting. And when I heard that, I couldn't believe it.
Kato, it's always nice to see you. Once again, tell me the name of your podcast. I listen to it, but I want the viewers to. What's the name of your podcast?
Yeah, we'd love everybody to go and subscribe. It's 1 Degree of Scandalous. That's on the YouTube. The channel is Tom Zenner Scandal. Tom is the host with myself. And it's really good. I'm going to film it right as soon as I'm done with doing you. And hopefully you and I text each other during the Packer games.
I was going to say, that's the last thing I would say. Go Pack. Kato, always nice to see you.
Great to see you. Thank you so much for having me on. And thank you, Newsmax.
Thank you, Kato. Coming up, Sean Diddy Combs has just learned how much prison time he will have to serve. That when the record continues.
In a world filled with questions and division, there is a powerful movement growing, fueled by unity and unwavering support. It visibly declares Israel is not alone. It's a movement called Flags of Fellowship. This is more than a show of solidarity. It's a profound statement of shared purpose, reaching across continents and deeply into the hearts of the Jewish people.
For a house of God to put the Israeli flag outside, it says we are willing to stand up, to stand with the state of Israel.
By participating in the Flags of Fellowship, we're going to be very clear and bold about our support for Israel.
In Israel, when they see us raising those flags, they feel supported, but they also feel proud.
When Israel is in need, we want them to know that you have a lot of Christians praying all over the world.
We call on congregations across America to let the defenders of Israel know, the protectors of Israel know, that they are not alone.
This is the moment that you show your congregation,
yes,
you respect, support Israel. This is the moment.
This is the moment. They deserve the right to be who they are.
And the one way is the flag, and put it outside.
Having the fellowship stand beside them, supporting them economically, spiritually, means more than I can possibly articulate.
You may be physically thousands of miles away. We recognize you
Tell the Jewish people in Israel and around the world that Christians in America stand with them. Through our prayers and by taking action to stand with Israel, we can save lives, bring hope, and be a part of helping fulfill God's biblical promises. You can be part of this historic movement. Learn more by going to ifcj.org today.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age with my wife Shirley, who is 82. Now both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now neither of us have any kind of sickness, and we're as flexible as we were 30 years ago, and we still do the physical things we did 30 years ago. Now we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we did. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you. You won't believe it. Immuno 150 is an awesome nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it.
Yes, it really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order online or call the number listed on the screen, but don't place your order until after you've watched the videos on our website. Thank you from both of us, and God bless.
And there is more breaking news tonight. Sean Diddy Combs has just learned how much time he will serve behind bars. Correspondent Sarah Williams joins me from outside the courthouse. Sarah?
Greta, after a very long day in court, the judge has now sentenced Sean P. Diddy Combs to 50 months in prison. That's 4 years and 2 months, and that'll not be including the time that he has already served. That will be taken out of this sentencing. But the judge went on and spoke for quite some time before coming down with this sentence. He spoke directly to the victims of P. Diddy, saying that they are strong women. They've been through trauma that no one can imagine. He wanted to say that he and the jurors heard them. He said that they stood up to power. It wasn't easy, and violence behind closed doors doesn't have to stay a secret forever. And they know that they bear the trauma, but they've taught us that you don't have to stay a victim. The court is also imposing a fine of $500,000. There is no restitution, but there is forfeiture as reflected in the order. The judge, before handing down that 50-month sentence, Greta, said that a sentence of 11 years is not reasonable. Even the probation department recommends a sentence less than half of that, but 14 months, the time served, would not be sufficient. Now, the judge has given him that 14 months. There's been some cheers outside, but also some people who were rather upset. As you can imagine, he has a large fan base who has been gathering outside. And as we received that news, we heard an audible mixture of responses coming from the front of the court. He did speak beforehand. P. Diddy spoke to the judge directly, spoke more about himself and how he has changed. Instead of apologizing to the victims or speaking to the victims. There are many people from inside that court who are saying that didn't necessarily work in his favor, but there were many breaks that had been taken. But once the judge came back in, he made his decision loud and clear. 50 months. That's 4 years and 2 months that he will be in prison for. Greta.
Sarah Williamson, thank you. Coming up, freedom is retired. I'll explain what that means when the record continues.
Humana Medicare Advantage plans. Carry this card, and you could have the power to get benefits beyond original Medicare. These are convenient plans that offer all of the benefits of original Medicare, plus extra coverage and benefits. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get doctor, hospital, and prescription drug coverage in one convenient plan, with $0 copays on hundreds of prescriptions. All plans include dental coverage, including $0 copays for covered preventive services, vision coverage with eye exams, and an allowance to use towards eyewear, and hearing benefits with routine hearing exams and coverage toward hearing aids. That's more than you get with original Medicare. But it gets even better because Humana offers plans with $0 or low monthly plan premiums. You may also get $0 copays for routine vaccines at in-network retail pharmacies, $0 copays for in-network primary care visits, and $0 copays for in-network preventive services. Plus, worldwide coverage for emergency and urgent care when you travel. And Medicare Advantage plans ensure your covered medical costs, including doctor and emergency care, will never go above a maximum out-of-pocket amount that you know beforehand. Imagine benefits like these in one convenient plan. Plus, you'll have access to Humana's multiple large plan networks of doctors, hospitals, and pharmacies. So if you want more from Medicare, call or scan the QR code now to see if there's a plan in your area that could give you extra coverage and benefits, including coverage for doctor, hospital, and prescription drugs, plus a cap on your out-of-pocket medical costs. And all plans include coverage for dental, vision, and hearing. A knowledgeable, licensed Humana sales agent will explain your coverage options, even help you enroll over the phone. Call today, but now is the time. The annual enrollment period ends December 7th. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
My name is Deanna Perazzo, and I'm a professional wrestler. I want to use my spotlight to help T2T because my husband was a combat veteran. Helping vets is so important because they're often the most disregarded people in our society. And so to be able to say, like, we see you, we see the sacrifice, we see the struggle you go through to support us in our scariest moments, that deserves to be celebrated, that deserves to be honored. Please help by donating $11 a month at T2T.org. Let us do good.
You're careful about what you bring home when shopping, especially when it comes to feeding your family. Shouldn't your investments work the same way? At Timothy Plan, we offer a wide selection of mutual funds and ETFs that can help you allocate assets without compromising your values. From technology to healthcare, energy to real estate, our funds are not only diverse but uncompromising to your values. Timothy Plan funds are filtered to avoid companies involved in abortion, pornography, human trafficking, and other harmful agendas. What you invest in should reflect what you stand for. Are your investments bearing good fruit? What's in your portfolio? Contact your financial advisor today to find out, or contact Timothy Plan directly at 1-800-TIM-PLAN to discover more. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Sponsored by Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, the health of fresh food with the convenience of kibble. Visit drmartypets.com/TV.
Freedom is retiring. Freedom is the name of an AK-9 who has been investigating arson in Orange County, California. During his years of service, Freedom responded to more than 200 scenes, and they were scenes around the country, not just in California. His retirement was announced with this message over the radio.
It is with great honor that we recognize and celebrate Orange County Fire Authority K-9 Freedom for 7 years of outstanding service to the citizens of Orange County. Enjoy the well-deserved treats, attention, and celebration. You have earned it.
The fire department also says Freedom will now spend his days playing fetch, napping, and soaking up all the love that he deserves. And we have news also from the White House. President Trump has recorded an Oval Office response to Hamas. It has not been released or aired yet, but keep it right here at Newsmax because we're going to show you the president's remarks as soon as the White House makes them available. The Chris Salcedo Show is up next. Have a great weekend.